Devam with Builder Innovator, and I'm here with Oki and Brilliant. So I just want to get right into it. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure, Ryan Okimoto, but Oki, that's kind of how I know you know me and we've met in the industry. I head up the customer engagement for Brilliant, which is kind of a long way of saying I do training and education, customer success, project management, deployment, kind of anything integrated with our product, and your experience is going to fall through myself and my team.
Amazing. So can you give us a rundown of Brilliant, maybe where it started, where it is now, what's under the portfolio?
Yeah, so Brilliant is actually a smart home control platform. It's this device right here, and this just replaces a light switch in the wall. Founded back in 2016, first product was 2018 with the idea that the smart home is very convoluted. There's a whole bunch of different devices. It's very complex. And how do we create this really elevated experience that doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars, that's accessible to the masses? So the idea was, hey, why not just take out a light switch, put this in its place? Now this is built directly into the wall. Beauty of this is actually all that you need. There's no extra gear, no extra hubs, no extra wires. Most importantly, unlike some of those super premium systems, which are great systems, this has no long-term contracts and no monthly fees. So if I'm a home builder or developer, I don't have to pass anything on to that home buyer or that resident to cover my, hey, that's the monthly cost or something like that. So yeah, this will tie in all those different smart devices that you might have across all sorts of product categories, because we want to make sure that your experience is simple and easy. So what we do is we provide one app that will control everything. So when I say everything, I mean lights, locks, doorbells, thermostats, speakers, shades, garage doors, plugs, and security systems.
That's it?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of all those product categories tied in together, but then we still give you that automation and control that you want. So this can now be more than just a basic system that is, Amazon, Alexa, or Google that consumers can do. Well, you're professionals. You need to provide an elevated type of experience. Brilliant's going to bring that while not breaking the banks. You can standardize on it. You can offer it to every single client, every single homeowner. There's really not a wrong fit for our system. So that was a long-winded way of kind of introducing the product, but that's what we do.
Yeah, no, I think the number one thing we were talking outside of here is that when you see that, like a movie, or you go to someone's house and they have a very luxurious house, you watch them, walk up to a panel, click something, the lights turn on or the sound comes on, and this is basically doing that.
Not basically, it is.
Yeah.
Like I have all of that automation set up in my home, but when we look at what this can do and we think of the smart home, it needs to be accessible for everybody. You mentioned those fancy panels that are in, those high-end movies and those tech billionaire homes. That can be a normal for everybody. But again, if it's not easy for every single person that walks through that front door, is it really an easy system? So I like to explain, my father was born in 1946. He's 78 years old. And I'm like, Dad, you can use this system. And he's very skeptical, like, give me back to my rotary phone. He's very old school like that. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, hey, Dad, you want to dim this light? He says, yeah. I'm like, all right, just drag your finger down on this slider. And he drags his finger down, the light's dim. I'm like, hey, awesome, you did smart lighting. I'm like, hey, we're gonna get some music to play. He's like, okay. So he tap on the screen, he taps on the screen, and I made a scene or automation that says family time. Lights turn to a certain brightness and music plays. He taps that and the music starts to play. I'm like, congratulations, Dad, you did smart home. Like, good for you. So anybody who walks through that front door needs to be able to control the home and shouldn't be intimidated by what's on the wall or, oh, your home's full of tech, I don't want to touch anything. Like, this is inviting and this is friendly, and we have a natural engagement to go to the light switch anyway. So that's why we put it right.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, is that some of the best innovations we've seen in the home building industry or outside of it, it's the one that works seamlessly about integrating into your life. And a lot of times I think we think about, the greatest innovation has to be tech forward. And there's a lot of difficulty, especially with older generations, getting them to adopt technology that way. And I think the ability to have have it be accessible in a tangible model, and then also on a mobile app, is great.
Yeah, it's kind of the experience of, let's say we're putting this and standardizing in our homes. Well, you're paying for this. I want something I can physically look, touch, see, feel. That's what this is going to do. It's there on the wall. But as we experience the product with those different levels of kind of smart home familiarity, what's right for one person might not be right for the other. So that's why we give people the choice of, hey, if I'm a phones up person like myself, I don't mind an app. Like, I'm going to go on my app and do everything. My wife calls me lazy. I call it efficient, is what it is. But my dad, a perfect example, or even my wife, she doesn't like technology. She wants to have phones down, but how does she access the smart home? How does she turn on the lights? How does she get to the music? She can physically go to the wall and just with a couple taps get to exactly what she wants to get to. Conversely, maybe you're a voice family. I was just sharing this anecdote with you. We had an old coworker with a daughter, 7 years old at the time, and every single light switch in his house is smart. He's got Amazon devices everywhere, so she's a very voice-forward type of person. Goes to a sleepover at a friend's house, reports back the next day and says, "Dad, the lights aren't working." And he's like, "What? I'm sure the parents would have told me if the lights weren't working." And she says, "Yeah, I asked Alexa to turn off the lights and nothing happened." And it was one of those pieces of time where you're like, wow, this is just a normal experience for that person. But what I'm getting at is there's no wrong way to control the system.
Now I want to dive into a little bit of the details.
Sure.
First off is device compatibility. So smart devices, non-smart devices. How does that work with Brilliant? How large is the ecosystem?
It's really your imagination of what you want to try and do. There's main buckets and main categories that we do work with. We work with lights, locks, doorbells, thermostats, speakers, shades, garage doors, plugs, security systems. We can tie it all together. For physically our product itself, we would wire, so your electrician installs our product. Those lights that we're now wired to, your can lights, your sconce, those become smart lights that can be controlled by our system. But that's just for those lights. What about the rest of the house? So if you have a lamp that you want to plug into a smart plug, great. You can use our smart plug. There's brands that make smart plugs. You can then tie that into the system. Additionally, we're seeing a lot of colorful lights. So Philips Hue is a very popular brand. TP-Link, Wemo, Casa, we can tie in with more professional lighting systems that you see. Lutron Caseta, Raw2 Select. All of those can be tied into our product, so you don't have to go all in on just this, because we're really a smart home control platform first. We double as a smart light switch second. There's really no limitation to what you can do, but the system becomes more powerful for your client, for yourself to sell when you start to add more devices in. So for example, I have a good night scene at my house, because my house is all the tech, so everything, those categories, I have all that stuff. So every night at 11 o'clock at night, I never lift a finger and all of my lights turn off except for my front porch light. That gets set to 5%, so it's not full blast all night. If I left my garage door open, it closes. If I left any doors unlocked, they lock. My thermostat adjusts. I have a couple shades that lower. If any music is playing, it pauses. And my security system gets set to armed home, and I never lift a finger. So I had a neighbor shoot me some text at like 10:40 at night one night. He's like, "Hey man, not sure if you know this, but your garage door is open. You might want to close that." I'm like, "Oh dude, I didn't know. Thanks for letting me know. But by the way, if you see that, like, don't worry. I have it set. It's automatically going to close at 11. He's like, "Really? You can do that?" I'm like, "He's a young guy. You should know this about tech." I was like, "Yes, man, you can do that. It's absolutely going to be just fine." So again, you think about all those actions and you press the button on the wall. You don't even have to press the button on the wall. We can set up these scenes in automation as much as you want to get as creative as you want. Here, I just want to ask you on the spot, like, what is your interpretation of a smart home?
Right. It's actually this.
This, perfect.
And so when I had joined 2 years ago, so not from the home building industry, I think I've said this before.
Yeah.
My thing was, we talk about building scenes, but within a product at a time.
Sure.
So a shade manufacturer will be like, "Oh, we'll build scenes, and at this time it'll drop," and circadian, like natural lighting, and then we have the lighting manufacturer say the same thing. But I was like, where is the system that does all of this at once? And I don't need like 16 different apps, or I need an app to pair other apps together.
There's no wrong answer for what a smart home is. So when I'm trying to pitch and sell and talk about Brilliant, I ask them, what is a smart home to you? And if they tell me, well, I want to do a secure home, like a really secure home is smart for me, that's my interpretation of it. Say, great, well, now we can pair a smart lock, some smart lighting to turn on at certain times, maybe a smart garage door and a security system. That's a security package. Or if it's energy efficiency, well, then we're doing smart lights, smart shades, smart thermostat. Tech forward, like you're doing speakers, you're doing all these different things. So I can have identical builders across the street from each other. One's value prop is a secure home, one's value prop is an energy efficient home, but the core package of the experience can still be Brilliant to make it simple for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, as far as tying those devices in, that's going to be as easy as potentially nothing, because we scan the Wi-Fi network and say, "Oh, we see your 5 speakers. Do you want to add them in?" "Yes, I do." You've added it in. Then for the specific features that are going to come in, The native applications and native products will always be able to do so much more than kind of the core system because we don't want to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
That's not what every consumer wants. How do we keep it simple that they're going to continue to use it? So all of your main features, that's what we're able to bring over through the integrations. That's generally what's shared from the partners through their APIs. You can get creative in these experiences. What if I want this to control the volume of a Sonos speaker? Normally you'd think, wow, that's going to be a lot of steps. Like, how do I program that? Is it going to be easy for my end user to be able to do it? It's literally you hit the settings tab, you hit sliders, and you say, hey, it's on a light. Nope, now it's on a speaker. That's it. And now we're controlling the volume of a speaker.
That's it.
This screen is capacitive touch. So we have the sliders. I personally, how I engage with the product, a swipe up on the screen turns my light on, a swipe down on the screen turns my light off. A 2-finger swipe up on the screen turns all the lights in that room. So if I have other connected lights in that room, those turn on. 2-finger swipe down turns all of it off. You can get so creative with these experiences and what you want to do that now your client, is just opens up their mind to, wow, I can do all these different things. So even this one could be like, hey, maybe this is the height of one of my connected shades. That's not a problem. Even on our dimmer switch. So our dimmer switch, which rounds out the lighting solution, if you're thinking about placement in the home, these would go in your high traffic areas, kitchens, living rooms, entries and exits. You could put it in bedrooms and bathrooms. There is a camera on here, so sometimes people don't want that, but there is a little piece of plastic, privacy shutter, cover up the camera, and you can disable that in software. But where I was getting at is the slider here, this dimmer switch would go in those bedrooms, bathrooms, hallways. There's a status light, which doubles as a night light, just enough light in the middle of the night so you're not stepping on the kids' Legos and you can do your business. There's actually motion detection built into the controls and our dimmer switches. So occupancy, vacancy, turn lights on with motion, turn lights off without, set time parameters around when that's active. And again, how creative can we get? Let's say I have one of these dimmer switches in the mudroom as I'm coming in through the garage, but I also have connected lights as it leads into the kitchen and the living room all right there. You can actually program the motion to say, hey, when I walk by this dimmer switch between 30 minutes before sunset to 11 o'clock at night, it will turn on not just this light that we're wired to, but any connected light in the system. Wow. So if my kitchen lights are connected to maybe a Brilliant control, those could turn on. And in the living room, I have a corner lamp. That's one of those smart, colorful bulbs, not made by us, another brand, that can turn on. All these experiences are kind of what the promise of smart home could be. One dedicated focus of simplifying the smart home. So app fatigue is real. We all have that home control folder on our phones, and it's like, oh, that's a lot of apps. Oh boy, it's kind of one app to rule them all is the bad joke that we say.
I see why it's called Brilliant.
It's 5.5 years I refuse to make that pun, but everyone's like,
it's okay, I'll make it for you.
You can absolutely do it.
No, honestly,
very well.
And I'm sure we can keep going.
Oh, we can go. I can keep going on and on and on.
But how can people get in touch with you and with Brilliant?
So the best thing to do would be reach out directly to myself, Oki, O-K-I, at brilliant.tech. You can always reach out to Marcus Pollard, our head of builder sales for single family and multifamily, Marcus at brilliant.tech. I encourage you to check out our website, brilliant.tech itself. Even our support site has a whole bunch of great instructional videos, how-to, installation, wiring diagrams. We have free training and education for your sales staff, for your electricians. We're trying to be that full service partner, soup to nuts. And even another piece to show that we care, our customer support, Brilliant employees based out of our head office in San Mateo, California. Wow. So we don't farm that out. It's not third party. You're not talking to some AI agent now or anything like that. For lack of better words, it means we care. And not only will we troubleshoot Brilliant, we'll try and troubleshoot those partner devices if something was to happen. So when in doubt, just reach out directly to us, or if it's generic, sales@brilliant.tech is the great way to go. But more information online on our website. Find us here at the trade shows. We're traveling all over the place, but we always love to connect and show off the experience.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, man.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.